Have we didn't have a special bumper thing.
I
or
know.
whatever
I didn't make a thumbnail. We're alive. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to In the Clouds Live Saturday. It is 7:30 p.m. Eastern on the dot, and we have a guest. He's right below me. Hello, Sean, our guest this week. Shout out to everybody who's here. Thank you for coming out. Thank you if you're watching on the replay. If you're listening to us over on the SoundCloud, thank you.
That is my new favorite hashtag.
What's
Shedhead.
Shedhead?
Yes.
Shedhead.
The great Shedhead. You know, Shedhead is something that I think many of us can embody. And if you don't fully understand what the Shedhead is, come on, join us at the green room over there on the Frames Franklin Vapor channel. You'll get plenty of Shed Time references in one go, and you'll totally get it. And just for fun, because we at the green room are all about merchandising, because fuck it, give us money. Here's a Shedhead logo for everybody watching, and bam, we got merchandise. So if you want to rep it and be a Shedhead, you got Shedhead logos. Frames Janklin even put it on a goddamn hat because he's just that swagadelic.
Bro, I'm working. I'm waiting for Teespring to like finally pump out their embroidery for their dad hats, because I'm gonna have Rise and Vape embroidered dad hats.
Dude, I can't rock the flat brim. I'm such a dad hat guy. I can't pull it off.
No. Yeah, I'm not
only backwards and then
I'm not much of a fitted guy.
See, this is the thing about the flat brim hat. They're actually designed to be worn sideways. So if you're not comfortable with a sideways hat, then yeah, flat brims really don't look right.
I'm a dad hat guy.
You know what I mean? Like this looks silly as shit. Like you definitely look like a goober when it's straight on.
Oh, I hate you see the guys like that, but they have them so propped up like it's just barely on their head, and it's,
you know what I mean? Like when you cock that to the side, like this is how we used to rock it. You know, like
that's swag.
Just that hip hop shit, you know what I'm saying? Just that inner city street shit, that grime shit, that Busta Rhymes shit, you know what I mean? Like this is how we did it. Like good times.
Good times.
Welcome
I
and
can't do
hello,
it, man. Oh,
everybody.
it fell. It fell. I can't rock a flat brim hat, and you know what I really can't rock is snapbacks.
Yeah.
I don't have the head for a snapback hat. They
I-
fit really weird and
See-
like boxy and like.
I thought that, but you just saw me rock a flat brim snapback. This is
Yeah.
one of the only times I've encountered one that fits my head correctly, which is even more difficult with a huge bunch of dreadlocks. So that's impressive as hell.
Yeah.
And that's why I have it. Like I have
I can't rock one, man.
I
They
just
fit my head
fucking
too
love
weird.
that.
I
He's
feel
like,
I feel like I put a
that's
box.
impressive as hell. I just
No,
I feel
like-
like I put a box on my head.
legit. I was a hat collector back in my hip hop era.
Yeah.
When I was still a hip hop artist. So obviously, you know, like I'm going on stage, I'm rapping at shows, like I want to color coordinate. So I had like 20, 30, 40 fucking hats.
Oh, I believe it. The match game was on point.
Right. You know what I mean?
But what was your shoe game like?
Dude, whack.
I
Walmart special because fuck
was
that.
waiting for him to. I was waiting to what I was gonna hear. Like, was it gonna be
Yeah,
fire? But he just
absolute
flat out
trash.
whack.
I had a homie give me a pair of.
I got every pair of Air Force Ones from 1998 to 2000.
See, I had a buddy give me a pair of Air Force Ones, and I had a buddy give me a pair of Battlegrounds, and so like I wore the fuck out of those Battlegrounds. I wore the fuck out of those Air Force Ones, and then I bought some like Target special that looked cool. You know, like
Okay.
you can fake it. You can fake it.
So when
and
you
make
say
it
you wore the fuck out of him, like you rocked the shit out of him, or like you were one of those guys that like folded up a sock and put it at the very end so you wouldn't get the creases.
No, I killed
You
him.
fucking
I
destroyed
killed
him.
him. So I'll tell you what.
R.I.P. Nike sneakers. I'll never own up another pair.
Years and years ago, I used to skate viciously. You couldn't, if you saw me outside of my house, I was on a board. And luckily enough, when I was 17, I got a job working for Journeys.
Oh
Okay.
shit.
There you go. That's the
Fantastic
hookup.
for a skater. If you're a skater and you work at a skate shoe shop, it's the best thing you'll ever
Oh,
do.
yeah.
Because I would get 50% out discounts. I would get 75% off discounts. And bro, in like the prime of me skating, I would have a brand new pair of shoes, toe completely wore through in like a month and a half.
Yeah. That
Oh,
grip
that's all it would
tape, dude.
take.
That fucking
Just
grip tape. Chew
gone.
you right up, dude.
Dude,
Supras.
not just that, but bailing.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
Supras, though.
fuck. Yeah.
Would
I was
you say
more
you
of a
were a
BMX
Supras guy?
I'm a super guy.
You're a super guy.
But then I have to have high tops. You see, because years ago when I was skating, I shattered my ankle during a skate tournament. I broke my tibia, my fibula, my growth plate. I dislocated it, and I had hairline fractures up to my knee. I have a plate and 8 screws that holds my ankle together. So when I skate now, I don't skate nearly like I used to, but I skate with my kids and teach them and
Yeah,
whatnot. But I have to have high tops. Like if I'm going to do I just have to have them. I do one thing wrong and I twist that ankle just right and screws start popping out. It's going to be a bad day.
Ooh. Yeah, nothing says I love you like, honey, we're going to the hospital. The screw's sticking out of my ankle.
Yeah, for real.
Yeah. If she says, fuck you, get your own ass there. Done. Dead
Yeah.
that. She's not yours.
She's like,
She's
nope,
like, get
nope.
your ass in the car. I'm driving, and she's doing 90. Put a ring on it.
I already did.
So shout out to Shane, Mr. Saddle Horse Blues. We got Frames Janklin in the chat. Vapor Swaggins, of course.
So much
Jay,
swag.
Mr. Raging Vapor said those Christmas lights though. God damn right. Logan is fucking holiday as fuck in the background there. Gave
Yeah,
us a
it
sneak
makes me want to
peek.
hurl. You're
makes
lucky
you
you
wanna
have
hurl.
kids, or I would like lambast you for it. But
It's for the kids, man.
That's
for the
it.
kids.
It's all
for
for
the
the
kids.
kids.
It's all for the kids.
Oh, the kids! Logan, love the
All for the
kids.
children. All right, so let's get this thing going. Welcome to In the Clouds, everybody. Thank you guys for coming out tonight. Much
Thank
appreciated,
you.
everybody out there. Yes, so much swag. And let's start with Sean's swag. What do you got tonight for vapes, sir? What's
What are you
on the
drinking?
menu?
What are you vaping? What do you got, man?
I'm not drinking anything because
That's all
I
right.
didn't even. Well, oh shoot! I actually have a little bit of vitamin water still.
There you
here.
go. I was gonna say you need a little
There
something
you
for
go.
hydration.
I didn't.
Some
I didn't
liquid.
drink this from last night. So good. I got
Liquid.
some vitamin water refresh for all my mango heads out there. If you don't know, they make a mango and it's fucking amazing. I drink too much of that. I'm gonna turn into a fucking mango. scared.
You are a mango, Sean.
I'm going to totally turn into a mango. Girl, if he's not treating you right, you need to let that man go. Anyway, first things first, we got this thing right here. Some of you guys see this all the goddamn time if you know who I am, because this is the Odium and the Vert. Let me back up my focus a little bit, because this, you need to be able to see all of it in focus.
Look
there
at
we go.
That, huh?
Odium Vert.
Shit.
Match game on point, constant contact mech from Unicorn Vapes Inc. I love those guys, and right now they're doing some killer sales over there. So if you've ever wanted to get one, I recommend sliding over there and grabbing one. Inside of that, boom, this is Clockwork Vapor.
Oh,
Check out that branding.
That's fucking awesome.
Clockwork orange branding.
Yeah,
love it. This is called Georgie. Remember Georgie from the movie? And Georgie, this is a hot fudge sundae with peanuts on it, and it's fucking dead on. He nailed the hot fudge perfect. You get the I don't know. I can't gush too much, but it's really friggin'.
I just love that it's Clockwork Orange branding.
Me too.
That just it's phenomenal.
Boom. Then we got this guy right here. That's the Warlock's Hammer. Yep. Warlock's Hammer by the Gathering Vapor Lounge. Oh my God. This thing's one of my all-time favorites. Dual parallel 21700. This thing crams vapor in your face. It's the Axial on top from Unicorn and Mass Mods. It's a recurring theme here. I fuck with a lot of Unicorn. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, hand-painted logo on the inside.
God
beautiful.
Damn. Look at that.
The work is so clean, top notch. If you've ever looked for a hard-hitting dual parallel box mod, and it's not all he does, but this is just one of my favorites, go check him out. Prices are super reasonable too. Inside of that, deep cuts, TV party. Because,
it's a party.
Eric, Brett Zeppelin, my dude, the beard is weird, and I love it.
Mr. Vinyl and Vapor.
Vinny Land Vapor guy. Fucking Vinny.
Fucking Vinny.
All right. Then we got
Vinny Land. Did somebody say Vinny Land?
Yeah, Vinny Land Vapor Kid. So then we got this guy. This is my work mod. I bring this to work every day. We got the Blotto because that monster goddamn tank. It gets
that tank's like half the size of the mod.
I love that stainless, man. I love it.
Oh, just like that. This bubble like 8 mils. It's perfect for working.
I have that same sea glass strip tip from DHD.
Looks good on stainless steel Addies, man.
You could have let him point that out
on my stainless rebirth.
Yeah.
Fucking beat him to it. Waiting to hear what the drip tip was, and Logan's like, "That's
I got it, bro."
Right
yep. DHD.
Shout out to Jess Marie.
That hot fire. And then in that, Bottled Violence, Vanilla Custard. This is another one from our sponsor on the Green Room, Seal Valley Vapor Company. Shout out to them for that. That is a fantastic custard. Does the job for me. And then lastly, you guys watched the show last night when we had Beecher, Mr. Coil Turd. You saw this. Boom. My OG Stomp Box V1 super match game going here. And that's an RDA for vaping on top with, boom, another DHD drip tip.
Little chop top.
Get off of my lawn! Because you have to yell it out like an angry old man, and I'm a fucking angry ass old man. And Boule Bolu.
Boule Bolu.
Because when you vape the turd Addy, you must vape the turd liquid.
Yeah, and it has to. All the turd things have to.
Yeah, you're one with the turd, aren't you?
And at this point, I mean, I do have a porcelain white mod, so it's like the turd is in the bowl or something of that.
Oh yeah,
I see where we're going.
Nature. But that's it for me. So take it away, whoever wants to go next.
Logan, go right ahead, Logan. I'll let you. I'll let you continue on with the turd.
But because you have
the
get off my lawn chop top on top, is the turd in the lawn? Or is the turd in the porcelain?
The turd is on the porcelain. That is on the lawn.
Oh, okay.
So this is clearly a very redneck situation.
Yeah, I was wondering what was going on.
Toilet in the front lawn, and somebody has taken a deuce. Motherfucker!
And then vaped it.
Get off of my lawn! Stop shitting in the toilet! Goddamn kids!
This is why I put a toilet in my lawn. All
it's
right,
supposed to be art.
Okay, I don't know if I can top that. I don't think I can top that, but we'll try.
That's on my.
I've got the Notion Berserker 1.5 sitting on top of that thing. It's basically my mech pod. I've got some. Sean sent me this liquid a while back. This is that. What's that?
Would that make it a peck?
It would.
Uh-huh.
I've got some Dude Dynasty, some Blue Raz Lemonade.
Ooh.
I know my camera is pales in comparison to Sean's down there, but
Well, hey, you know.
I've got Citadel sitting on top of the top side. Shout out to Frames Janklin. I love that RDA, bro.
I've heard of that guy.
RDA. He's a good dude. He's
got a really good bunch of reviews on his channel. People should go check that shit out.
In there, I've got some Cali Steam Brain Freeze. Yes, everybody go check out Frames Janklin's channel.
Wait, that was called Brain Freeze?
Do it. Brain Freeze. It's like a rocket pop.
Oh my.
Lemon ice, raspberry, wild cherry.
Look at Sean. He's like, get me the link
Dude,
to that right now.
It's so good. It's so good. It's heavy on the culotta, right on the inhale. A lot of culotta. So if you don't like culotta,
I'm into that.
Right into just like the best balanced rocket pop.
So Brain Freeze by Naked is like my go-to menthol when I just need a punch in the face of menthol. So like when you say Brain Freeze, it's like, wait, is this like a clone? But no, it's something totally.
No, it's like a rocket pop. Yeah, it's phenomenal though. And then I've got my Dreamer Goon combo sitting there with some Vice Cream from Freeman's. It's just
Freeman's.
I
gotta check out
vanilla
Freeman's.
ice cream.
Freeman's is
ice cream.
They're popping.
Not bad. They're not bad. I really like. I ended up getting like a sample pack to try all their flavors.
What's your favorite so far?
My favorite so far is one that's called Straw Blights. It's like a strawberry kiwi tart.
Okay.
Phenomenal. And then they have one that's called Menthol Breakdown. Now, if you want a lot of menthol, if you want to hit a menthol, pick up some Menthol Breakdown from Freeman's. But the finish is all like really crispy, natural mixed berries.
Ooh, so you get all the cool wispy notes.
Yeah, you get all that menthol, and then
so if you go by Morton Owens, what the hell was that atomizer? Oh God, the vertical one he did there. It amplified the cool wispy notes.
Oh,
that would be like perfect.
I love it.
Yeah, the wispy notes.
Oh man, it's gonna come to me like at the end of the show. We're gonna like get off of air, and I'm gonna be like, mother.
I was literally about to say he's gonna like fucking scream at like the end,
right the last 2 seconds of the show. Sean just started screaming obscenities, and I'll pass it on to Matt. What you vaping,
All right,
man?
well, a little last week, a little something new this week. So, of course, I know Logan. I can feel the rage inside Logan. Maybe not. Maybe he just thinks I'm dumb. But that super tarnished, that Vindicator, with that dang RDA on top. Dang. Still got that. Still rocking the last of that pancake, that waffle, whatever the hell it is. Great stuff.
Waff.
Got that Berserker Mini sitting on the Aegis Solo.
Attaboy.
It's not bad at all. With some of that Apple Cooler by Naked. My Zoom game is.
I tried like hell to get Sean into the Berserker.
You tried and he wasn't.
I
he just
tried.
Wasn't feeling it. No.
I wasn't feeling it.
I think it's great.
No.
Wasn't for
I
him.
like it. Got that.
It's all right. It's not bad. It's just not for me.
Got the grip with that OG goat, and I got this in my vape box, and I'm rocking the round wire, man. Got one of the goat heads in there I think it's 0.13. On the inside of that, I'm rocking a new liquid.
I still have one goat head left.
You do?
Sitting in a drawer in there somewhere.
Yeah, this came with obviously it comes with a couple when you get it, and then they sent a couple more as well. On the inside of that, some Sub-Zero. This is that grape by Saucy Vapor.
Nice.
Fucking awesome. Like, I haven't had a grape liquid in a long time, and that is just great. And of course, shout out to Shane, Mr. Saddlehorse Blues, rocking that recurve squonk with the recurve dual on top. Old match game, so I won't point that out. And of course, on the inside of that, Turkish Harvest. Can't help myself. Fucking love me some Turkish Harvest. And I'm the only one drinking, and that's okay. I decided to go straight. I got one of those little ball ice makers.
Yeah,
type deals.
yeah, we've
So-
got one of those in our
so
freezer.
I'm rocking some Jack Daniel's Fire with a little ball ice. You know,
Nice,
more,
little
not-
ball
not-
ice.
Done playing around with beer. Didn't feel like getting beer this
You
week. I
know,
was like, little ball
he
ice.
likes a little bit of balls in his
A little bit of
once in a while.
chili
Ice.
balls. Just dunk them in the whiskey.
balls
and-
and ice. I like. Never mind.
And that RDA was called the Nord.
The Nord. The Nord. Not to be confused with the little smoke pod.
If anybody ever knows how to get a hold of Morton Owen, please tell him to come back, because he was totally like the Bob Ross of the vape world. Like, I loved listening to that guy, because he would be like, "Good evening from Goblin Valley, Norway. I'm Owen, and I am here, so you don't have to be."
Absolutely
It
majestic.
was so soothing. You're like, I don't care what he talks about. Like,
Just narrate my life, please.
dude, yeah, read me a bedtime story. I don't care. We just miss you.
So before we get into all about Sean, because I want to hear all about you, Sean. We're in the Discord. I haven't spoken to you too much, but I want to get into that. But Logan, I gotta ask you, and I think I already know the answer, but I gotta ask you, how's the lemonade coming, if it's coming at all?
Ooh.
I know I said I knew the answer, but I had to ask. Like, are you vaping some of the older editions or versions, or whatever you want to call it? Or...
So I'm gonna be real honest here. All I've done so far is get like the Liquid Barn basic kit. You know, pick like 10 flavors that come with it or whatever, and that's what I was doing. And the flavors that come from Liquid Barn, their standalone stuff, it's okay, but it's not what I'm after. And right now, being Christmas, I've had to put basically all of like my vape purchasing things on hold, obviously, so that way we can focus our money on getting the kids presents and doing Christmas and all of that. But once the new year rolls around, I've been talking to a number of mixers, and they're like, hey, like I've kind of been talking about what I'm after liquid wise. And so I have a few recipes with specific stuff, flavors from Flavor Art and all these different places. So after the new year, I'm going to be getting back into the DIY
dive deep into it
and getting back into mixing and
Yes,
trying
sir.
to get after that. I'll tell you what, I think what I'm aiming for is have you ever had San Pellegrino's blood orange soda?
I haven't.
No.
Okay. Go get a San Pellegrino blood orange soda. That's what I'm going to be trying to make.
Okay.
Mm.
Well,
That's what I'm
I'll
going
have
after.
to. I'll have to get back.
That
to
is
my
a
thoughts
very
on that.
lofty.
I know. But I have like 4 recipes that people have sent me, and they're like, try this and then tweak it. Try this and then tweak it. So I'm going to pick up all of that stuff,
Yeah.
and I'm just going to spend a week like just mixing and fucking around with it and trying to get it right. So, but I think that's where I've shifted from. Like, I'm sure I'll pick up some lemonade stuff and make some lemonades as well, but something I'm really after is that.
Yeah, I mean,
We'll see how it goes.
I think it'll be cool if you can pull it off, because I don't believe I've ever heard of it. There's very few blood orange flavors out there. I mean, the first one that immediately comes to mind is was that Primal Elixir.
Primal Elixir makes a blood orange strawberry lemonade.
Yeah, exactly. But like, I don't see blood orange often,
Right.
and it's a great flavor.
And I feel like I'm tackling something like way above my skill level right out of the gate.
way above your weight class. But
you know what? You
full
fucking
send or
go
no
big or
send.
go home.
Full send
Go
or
big or
no
go
send. I love it.
So we're gonna try it.
that's it, man.
We're gonna try it.
All right.
And, so yeah, after the new year, I'll let you guys know how it's going. And,
So what you do is you buy a full case, 24, of San Pellegrinos, and every time you mix up one of these, you gotta pop one open, take a
do
sip,
a taste.
take a vape, and then you gotta put that thing away and try it in like a week, because you never know, with some steep time, some of those things change, and so then you gotta go back and do it again and crack one open and take a few sips and take a vape.
This is so much
So
better.
when you guys see me again and I'm 400 pounds, I've just been chucking blood
He's
orange
fucking all
soda.
bloated. He's like, oh.
just trying to get my mix right. You'll know
I
what's
got
going
it, and
on.
I did what you guys said.
I got the best.
I'm just gonna
version
keep all the empty cans in the
ever.
corner and I'll make a pyramid out of them.
Yeah, right.
That's how many cans it took to get this recipe.
That'll be the Christmas tree next year.
Yeah, right. But at the end of the day, you'll probably have the best representation ever.
Yeah.
You know, you'll be the blood orange soda god of the vape world.
Ooh,
You know,
what
I
a
know.
title. Do I get a
There's
plaque?
so many people gunning for your position that you got to really work hard. But I believe in you.
Dog eat dog out there. It's dog eat dog world.
So
First one to that San Pellegrino soda wins.
Let's hear from Sean. Sean, I think Logan calls it the legend. I call it something like the rundown. Let's hear about you. Just for anybody that doesn't know you, let's just
Okay.
whatever you want to say.
So do we want to do like the how I got into vaping story, or are we trying to do just
talked about the legend, and I do this on
Who
the Rise and Vape podcast, and the legend, and what I always ask people for is your smoking story, your vaping story, and what got you to where you are right now as far as the shows that you do, the content that you create, and just kind of bring us through that that timeline. I mean, we don't need to know every day that you wiped your ass along the way, but you know.
So, all right, day one, I wiped my ass. No, but
6:43 in the morning, January.
and I never wiped
12th.
my ass again. Damn
Went
it!
out on my front lawn and took a
1999.
big one on my toilet.
Yep, right in the front lawn. I lived in a trailer
Immediately
park.
following that shit was my first cigarette.
Nope, but in all seriousness, oh god, I was 12 years old when I first started smoking. I had a friend in the neighborhood, and you know, we wanted to be those rebel kids, and we discovered that there was this guy in the neighborhood, Chester, and Chester was a chain smoker to the max. I'm talking couldn't not be smoking a cigarette. So this dude would be walking to the local general store up the street from my buddy's house, and he'd be like 10-15 feet from the door, finish a cigarette and immediately light the new one, get to the door of the store and drop a whole cigarette. So we figured it out. Oh, well, we can just pick it up, because he's not going to pick it up when he comes out. He's going to light a brand new cigarette. And so we would start to smoke his already lit cigarette. And we were like, oh man, we feel cool. I like how this feels. All right. And, you know, it was weird, right? Because it starts out so innocently because you try it. And then, you know, all of a sudden you do it again. And then you do it again. And then all of a sudden you find yourself thinking about it like, man, I could go down to the store right now, just wait for Chester. And when he drops a cigarette, grab one. And then, of course, you know, you start to make friends with the kids who are older that already smoke. And then you can bum a cigarette. And so it just kind of fed itself. I ended up going to an alternative high school. For those who don't understand entirely what that means, I was a little asshole. And I couldn't learn in a normal classroom. As a result, I went to a specialty school. And, you know, I had access to seniors when I was in the 8th grade. So, you know, I had somebody who could, on lunch, go get me a pack of cigarettes. And on top of that, we're going back to an era where a pack of Marlboros was still under $5. So it was like, you know, it was well within lunch money realm, especially in a place like this where we didn't have a cafeteria. We didn't have anything like that. Our lunchtime was a half hour to go up to a store and grab some snack or something and come back, because we only were in school for 4 or 5 minutes. 4 or 5 hours. So that really continued to facilitate my habit. By the time I was 16, I had a full-blown pack-a-day habit. And then by the time I was 18, you know, and able to buy my own cigarettes, a pack to a pack and a half, depending on, you know, my circumstances. And so it just kept going and kept going for years. And, you know, along the way, I had tried the patch, I had tried the gum, I had tried the lozenge. None of that was working. I had tried a cig-alike. It worked for a little bit and then failed. I had tried a clearomizer. It worked for a little bit and then failed. And then I remember working for a convenience store at the time, and they got their first box mod in. And it was basically a clone of an E-Leaf 30-watt iStick and a clone of an Aspire Atlantis tank.
Hey.
And I was like, you know what? I got friends who have box mods that have quit smoking. Maybe that's my problem. I need the power the box mod does. So I got that thing thinking 30 watts. Oh my God, this is cool. It wasn't quite enough,
Probably not quite enough.
but it was enough to make me realize that there was something there to this. So a friend who actually used to be a neighbor of mine where I live here, he had begun vaping. He had really introduced me to it. And that was where I got my first box mod. Now, just kind of backtrack for a second, my first real intro into the world of vaping came through Advocacy. It was back in 2016 when the deeming regulations were still a big issue, like early 2016. And this friend of mine, Kevin, reached out to me and was like, I want to create some sort of YouTube content to try to, do something advocacy related for this, because we got to, make a difference. I was like, dude, I'd love to help you. Absolutely. Smoking's awful, and I'm a smoker, so let's go do this. So I go down and I meet the owners of a vape shop in Rhode Island. And I sat there and filmed them as they walked us through everything. So they broke down a sub-ohm tank. They broke down a mod. They explained batteries. They explained everything that a good shop representative should be giving to a brand new virgin vapor, and let us do it on film so that we could, put this together and explain to people what vaping really is. From that point on, that was what convinced me that I really wanted to pursue the vaping thing more, which is what led to that 30-watt box mod. So that friend Kevin ended up giving me a little Tesla 100-watt and said, this will better power the coils in that tank. And he was right. I was able to put that on there, and it got me going, and it really helped me dramatically cut the cigarettes down. Eventually I got into a Wismec Rouleau, because it was like the hot thing at the time. We're talking like now late 2016. So, it was hot. Everybody needed one. And so I ended up buying one. And I ended up getting the original Crown because my wife had one and it was solid for her. It was way better than my shit Atlantis clone that I was using. Mm-hmm. So boom. And we were off to the races, and it started working. I moved into a Cleto tank, and then the Cleto 120.
The Cleto tank was the tank that I quit smoking with.
Right, and that me too. I still remember it vividly.
Those tall ass fucking coils, bro.
I still have like
chimneys.
It's sitting
They're
right
like chimneys.
That was the beautiful thing about them, is that they eliminated the chimney altogether with that. Yeah. They said, fuck it, you're going to hit it right.
The only thing I hated about that tank was filling it, because you had to take the whole top off. Mm-hmm. And then the glass was just hung by the bottom by a grommet.
Yep.
And if you hit
bump it just
if
right.
you bump it while you're filling it up, it would just
fucked. The thing I loved about it was
vaped great.
Burp them.
Yeah.
And when I learned to burp them, I learned to stretch my coils 9 days before they were getting kind of just gunky and broken down. They weren't burning anymore. But yeah, I still remember the Cleto vividly, and the day that I stopped smoking completely, because at that point I'd now moved on from working in the gas station selling cigarettes and lottery tickets and all that awfulness to working as a delivery driver for a courier company. So a perfect opportunity for me to smoke cigarettes and a perfect opportunity for try to vape as well. And I remember after the end of a pack of cigarettes, and I was pulling out of the stop, and I knew that between this stop and the next stop was the perfect length of time to have a whole cigarette and be done with it just before I pulled in, so I'd be good to go and hop out and just get right to work. So I lit that cigarette, and I pulled out, and I took a drag. And I remember hitting it and going, God, that's fucking awful. And I kind of looked at the cup holder where the mod was sitting. And I looked at my hand with the cigarette in it. And I distinctly remember thinking to myself, I can get my nicotine from that thing, and it tastes 100 times better than this piece of shit in my hand right now. Mm-hmm. I threw the entire lit cigarette out the window of the van and never looked back. And I was loyal to the coil from that day forth. I have never even gone back and taken a drag off a cigarette to see if I would want to. It does not appeal to me at all anymore. I was, like I said, I was loyal to the coil from that point. So now moving forward, obviously, I was fortunate that I had a local vape shop that was really advocacy driven. It was really community driven. And as a result, I learned how the environment of a good vape shop should be. And that, really inspired me. I learned a lot real fast because of them. Within, I'd say 6 or 8 months of my vaping, I was already getting into rebuildable. The Theorem was the first rebuildable thing I ever bought.
That's Matt's old.
Yeah, his
RTA.
very first project.
Yeah.
And hey, I liked it, man. Those
I've never had one, never used one.
It's a single coil RDTA, and as long as you're not using those garbage ass notch coils that it came with,
yeah,
it's not bad. It's a serviceable vape.
One of my first my first RTA was the Moonshot.
Oh,
and it was like the second rebuildable I ever
22?
bought. Oh my god, dude! If you've ever had a Moonshot, they are a pain in the dick to build.
That little like collar that you have to like.
Yeah, you take. It's got a free floating deck that goes into the base, and then you have to screw this like open. It's like a collar basically over it, and then you have to, because of the way that it goes together, if you try to build and wick before you put the collar on, you'll end up with cotton in your threading and it'll get all fucked up. So you have to put the collar on, lift your coils up, build it, put your coils back down, then tuck your wicks down in. It is, I thought right
on a 22 millimeter deck, which means your build space is like 18 millimeters.
I still have my my Moonshot sitting in there, and I'll tell you what, if you can get it right, it's a good vape.
Yep.
But good luck getting it right.
It just it'll take you months of fiddling before you learn it. That's the problem.
Yeah, and we've come so far.
Round wire,
we've come so far.
Like it's strictly round wire in that thing. Those post holes are itty bitty. But thanks to those guys, one of the friends of mine who was working there was like, "Dude, you're super knowledgeable. I got a buddy who has a vape shop, and he needs some help. Why don't you go see if you can get a part-time job up there?" I was like, "Fuck yeah, bro! Like, that'd be ill." Because at this point now, like, I'm so about vaping, but like, I'm not really part of the internet community yet. I'm just part of my local community within my shop. So I get up there and I start working, and I'm just a part-timer. I'm doing my thing, and the owner notices just how much I know, just how dedicated I am, just how loyal I am, and just how serious I am about conversion and the core values that we have at that shop. And so he offered me the opportunity to become his manager. So I left the courier thing, went full-time as a vape shop manager. Now, obviously, running a vape shop, you're going to have a lot of downtime. So that leads you to what? YouTube vape content. And after watching the millionth goddamn review, you realize, what do? You got to go watch some of these live shows, see what all that hype's about. And then you start watching these live shows and you go, fuck, dude, I want to be involved in the chat, because whatever they're talking about with the chat sounds like a lot of fun. And I found myself gravitating towards Vape Stew at that point. And so I joined their Discord and started hanging out in the chat. And I started growing with the Discord, because the Discord was really new at the time for them. And through that is where we lead to me as a vape personality, let's call it. Because, that's what we all are at this point when we create content, right? We're vape personalities. Because I don't like the term influencer.
Yeah, if I influence
make your own decision.
I hope it's in a good way.
Well, at the end of the day, you make your own decision. I don't put a gun to your head and say, buy this product. If you buy a product because I genuinely enjoy it, that's cool, man. I'm glad you value my opinions. But I'm just some asshole that likes to vape, that happens to own a camera and make things look cool. Fuck me, dude. I'm no expert. Or maybe I am. Doesn't matter. That's all about opinion.
Or maybe I am.
But that all started happening, and you had the Omis going on as kind of their thing, and I became obviously supporters of all of them because they're all my friends. And then Frames Janklin started his channel, and Frames was doing his thing, and You know, I got thinking about it, I'm like, man, all these different people making, you know, YouTube content like this, and nobody's been doing e-liquid reviews anymore. So I started doing some e-liquid reviews just for the fun of it. I had already had the Angry Hippie moniker because, you know, sometimes you want to figure out other avenues to create, you know, some sort of cash flow. You know, it's like my friends with their lifestyle brand. I created a clothing brand, and it's called Angry Hippie. And I have a shop on the internet. You can buy all sorts of weird merchandise that I've created. angryhippie.storenv.com. And so I had already created that because I am definitely an angry hippie. And so I just kind of ran with that. And running with that, I realized that I had a propensity to go on advocacy rants because I'm a very passionate individual about these things. And that led to me really cutting the e-liquid reviews and just doing straight angry hippie rants. I would just get on camera, lose my mind about something, you know, and try to summarize something into a nice, neat little package, kind of wrap it up in a little positive bow at the end and be like, all right, here you go. You're an idiot. This is what we should be doing. This is how we can fix it. Let's do this. Love you. Get out there and do it. And so now we get to a point where Frames Janklin is doing a Friday night show as like a Vape Stew warm-up thing. And I come on as a guest one night and we clicked. And it was like, dude, this is a good thing. Let's do this. We should just do this permanently. You want to be the permanent, you know, sidekick, your co-host. Yeah, let's do it. Boom. So that starts. And that's the birth of the Green Room, basically. We didn't have a name yet. We were just doing what we were doing. The Green Room kind of happens because, you know, nice play on words. Our favorite colors are green. You know, we're shed heads. If you understand that concept, 5 points.
Yeah.
It's actually a 3, but 5 points for you if you got that.
3 points for everybody who didn't.
Exactly. And so the Green Room became the thing. And so we started building it. And then we brought Overdrip in. And around the same time we were bringing Overdrip in, I had joined Poon Sauce McNasty and did a What's Your Story on his channel. For those who aren't familiar with what Poon Sauce McNasty's been up to, I do a show with him called What's in the News, which is a continuation of a segment he does on the Omies. And being that I'm the angry hippie doing angry hippie rants, he asked me if I would join him as a co-host for What's in the News because it would be a good fit. And we did a show together. It was a great fit. And so we've been building that over the course of probably the last 6 or 8 months. And we've been building the Green Room with Overdrip and making it what it's become now. At this point, I love what we do on the Green Room. I'm looking forward to working with Corey more because we've got some great ideas that we're building on so that when we come back in the new year, What's in the News can be something really spectacular. But we've been steadily building the Green Room now from the moment we brought Overdrip in. And it's very cool because Overdrip's Canadian. And so in Canada, their regulations are different, but they're also affected by a lot of our politics. So he brings a really unique perspective to a lot of conversation. As much as the three of us have a lot of similar tastes, we also differ in different ways. And so it always creates for some unique content because we can bullshit with each other and give each other hard times about weird little idiosyncrasies or whatever. And at the same time, keep it upbeat and keep it fun. And, you know, we try to run a very structured program. We play some games at the end. We've got a good thing going over there. And we've done some really cool stuff with some cool people. I mean, we've had Grim Green, AJ Holland, and Irby. We just had Coil Turd on, Loomy last week.
You guys are doing really well over there. Really great guests on.
We got another really cool guest coming up this week coming. I'm not going to say
I've been on the Green Room.
Yeah, even you've been on the Green Room. But like this next one, he's definitely going to color your world. And that's the hint I'm going to leave you tonight with that. Once you see this show, you'll understand how he colors your world. But he could definitely color your world if you let him. So, God, that sounded super creepy and sexual.
Hey, I'm down for it, man. I'm down for it.
Down to get my world
Let me color
colored.
your world. Oh yeah, Matt, I'll butter that biscuit. But yeah, so I mean that's the story, man.
On
That's
that
the
note.
origin story. You know, at the end of the day, I'm an absolute crazy person. Vaping saved my life in more ways than one. Not only did it save my life because, you know, it took me away from the deadly combustible tobacco route, inevitably preventing a lot of disease that would come from the prolonged use of those products. I went through a really dark period of life when my mother was dying in the hospital. That was a few years ago around this time, actually. And I leaned on the vape community very heavily during that. It was the vape shop was where I went to be so I wouldn't be alone. It's why I grew so quickly and became so knowledgeable and just invested myself into vaping the way I did. It became an escape and a catharsis for all the hurt and pain and stress I was going through at the time. And I remember being on, I think it was the 24-hour live stream, and somebody had asked the question, what is one thing that vaping has done for you that you could never repay it for? And for me, it's the fact that it helped me find myself again. Because after all of that trauma, I started to build me up again. And I started to create the channel. I started to create this YouTube content. And there's a lot of folks in this chat right now, you guys included here on the panel. You guys motivate me to get up in the morning more than some of you guys actually realize. Because, you know, men's mental health, man, it's something that we don't talk about much, that I'm really trying to become more of a champion of myself. A lot of us struggle with depression, anxiety, suicidal thoughts, bipolar. We need to be open about these things. I am a mentally ill individual, and the vape community is my therapy. This is where I go to be me, where I vent after bad days. You know, my vape fam is who I turn to when I need advice, when I need to just, you know, blow up about some stupid shit. They're the people who make me laugh. They're the people who help me cry. They're the people who keep me 100% real. And so, you know, that's the thing. Like, that's I can't
I think a
thank the
lot of
community
people
enough for that.
I think a lot of people feel that way. Like the vape community is so vast, and
Yes.
between Facebook groups and Discords and people that you find on Twitter or on Instagram or wherever that may be, like there's always people in this community that you will click with, that you're going to vibe with, that are going to help you be a better person or get you through times. And it's remarkable because we're all so very different, but we all have one core thing that brings us all together. And from there, we just build off of that in the relationships that we make. You know what I mean? Like we all have that icebreaker. We all have that icebreaker to get into, you know, a Facebook group or something. Like, yeah, I smoked for X amount of years and I quit with strawberry banana. Somebody out there in that chat is going to be like, bro, what strawberry banana did you get? Because I've been looking for a good one. And boom, like right there, there's instant friendships and relationships that you can build off of that. Yeah, that's an incredible story, Sean. It really, my heart is full right now for you.
Seriously.
You know, and it's funny because like in the interest of exactly what I'm talking about and being open and honest about it, like I don't do well around the holidays. My attitude is fuck Christmas, fuck the holidays. I would like to just not experience this period of time between Thanksgiving and the end of January so that I can just not have to relive it. Because when you don't deal with trauma and grief like this, trauma, because it's not easy for a son to have to make the decision to pull the plug on his mother. And I had to make that decision. And that sucks. That's not something that anybody wants to have to experience, let alone quickly and traumatically from something that should have been a routine procedure. And so, having not dealt with any of that, I have my moments where I relive that shit, and I'll go through 3 or 4 days of just absolute negative depression and grief and sorrow. And I have to be honest about those things with people, because there are people who I have to, share this existence with, not just, on the internet, but in personal world too. And we have to, be real and say, listen, like, I've experienced some tough shit around this time in my life, and I'm having a bad day, and I'm reliving that shit right now. And I need some space. I need y'all to take it a little easy. If I'm a little bitchy, this is why. And I appreciate you understanding and being patient. Those are the kind of things that we need to do as people who are enlightened about these things in ourselves. When you're that self-aware, you have to be honest about it. The first step of any recovery is admitting that you're powerless over that issue. And so, if it's depression, you have to be honest and say, look, I can't control my depression right now. I'm having a really bad moment. I need to, I need space. I need to be able to handle this appropriately, And so that's, those are the things that the vape community has helped to instill. Because one of the really cool things that I've always found is that we're all so understanding. We all, for whatever reason, I think we all have to grasp the concept that there are so many different backgrounds that are coming to this for the same goal. And so we don't fully understand what the baggage is that you're carrying, but we respect you because you carried it here and you got to this point. And so, if you're in a position where you're losing your shit, we understand. And we're here to listen, and we're here to respect you and not judge you for it. And I'd say 98% of the time, that's our entire community. I think like any group of people, there's always going to be a couple of bad actors, and
sure.
Drama queens will be drama queens. That's what it is. But at the end of the day, I find that because of how we got to this, we are some of the most understanding people.
Yeah. We're pretty
we're
empathetic. I mean, when you're somebody that, from personal experience, if you're somebody that smoked for over a decade and you tried to quit, you go through that hopelessness and you come to a conclusion in your own brain, this is how I'm going to die. And when you get to that point and you accept that this is how I'm going to die and I'm going to end up doing it to myself, and when you finally beat that, when you come through that, you hold on to that feeling that you had. So when you see other people who have beat that and accomplished that, that place, that mentality, that feeling, and you understand it. You know what I mean? And then, because that was me. I mean, after 10 years of smoking and going past, like, I was just like, I'm never gonna quit this. This is gonna be how I die.
That to me was
such a crazy, like, when it's like seeing the future. Like when you're a smoker, the future. You're like, this will kill me. Mm-hmm. This will be my death.
Yeah, you're literally smoking your cigarette going, well, I hope it's a quick cancer.
Yeah.
Like, I hope it's not the long drawn out process.
Yeah, I hope I figure it out at stage 4 and I can just go. Like, you start making, and it's really shitty. Like, it's really shitty when you start like coming to your own conclusion about your death. Mm-hmm. And when you finally beat that and you no longer have that guilt, you no longer have that regret, you no longer have that black cloud hanging over your head of this is how I'm going to die. When you get past that, you just want to share that. and you want other people to have that.
Absolutely.
You
I
know?
mean, having lost a loved one to lung cancer from smoking, having watched what that process is, how quickly it can take you from the guy you always knew to a withering corpse who is going to die any day. I don't wish that upon anybody, which is, I think a big part of why so many of us we're so adamant, like, oh, have you tried vaping? Well, have you tried vaping this way instead of that way?
What's your favorite thing to eat? What's your
Well,
favorite dessert?
my
What's your
my
favorite
whole
candy?
my whole thing has always been like, well, what did you try? Oh, well, I tried one of those smock sticks, the TFV8 and an alien, and it's like, all right, so what if I told you that I can replicate the experience of a cigarette and make it taste like something delicious? And they go, wait, what?
That makes sense.
Yes, like this is possible. Let me introduce you to a goddamn cruller that feels like a fucking cigarette.
Yeah.
Like, here's a mouth to lung pod system, 18 milligram psycho cruller. Have fun. Oh my God, life changing.
Yeah. Yeah. And it really is. I mean, like, it's a hard feeling to explain when you can finally let go of that attachment to cigarettes and like all the regret that comes with smoking. And like, especially if you're like I have kids, like my level of regret every time I had a cigarette was through the roof, but I couldn't not have a cigarette. I tried, I failed multiple times, failed. And when you finally are able to let go of that, it's cliche as it is, it's just such a weight off your shoulders, like,
well,
to shed that.
A funny thing that some of us talk about sometimes and some of us don't think about at all, is the subconscious aspect of all of this. Okay, when you try to quit smoking, because every stop smoking aid out there is considered a quitting agent, you know what I mean? They tell you to quit smoking with Nicorette, quit smoking with this, quit smoking with that. We're in a culture that's been raised to not accept quitters. Quitters are failures. Quitters never prosper. No one likes a quitter. So we subconsciously have this built in our mind that you don't want to quit because quitting makes you a failure. And simply by changing the language we use, by saying switching, I'm switching to vapor, I'm switching to a less harmful alternative, I'm making the switch. Excuse me. We start to change the subconscious psychological aspect of this now, because no longer are we having this piece in the back of our brain that goes, well, I'm just a loser, I quit something, I'm a quitter. Now you're making a switch. You're using positive language. You're saying that I did something good. I switched from bad to better. That's a good decision. Yeah. And your brain receives it as such. And now when your mind is thinking like that, you start to see it in that light. And so now, you're waking up and you're looking at the vape and you're hitting the vape and you're going, oh man, this is nice. I didn't wake up and cough up a lung this morning.
Fucking A.
This is delicious. This vanilla custard tastes amazing with my coffee. So much better than that cigarette. You get in your car and you go, oh my God, has my car always stunk like this?
Yeah, dude, I don't miss that. Detail. My clothes.
And it's amazing. Like we have a friend in the Vape Stew Discord, Ender. He's a fantastic Canadian, works in a vape shop. And he introduced me to an idea he had, which was, he called it the steak challenge. And basically he would take a new smoker and he would say, here's what I want you to do. I want you to buy 2 weeks worth of coils for your setup, all the juice you need for 2 weeks. I want you to commit to me to only vape for those 2 weeks. And when those 2 weeks are up, I want you to go buy a steak dinner at your favorite restaurant. After you've eaten that steak dinner, come back and tell me that was not the best tasting steak you've ever had in your life.
Yeah.
And if it really was awful, I will pay for your meal. He's never paid for anyone's meal.
Right, because you get your taste buds back.
After 2 weeks, you start to taste things again. Now you go eat one of your favorite foods. You're like, holy fuck, this tastes way better than I've ever known it.
You know what I found after quitting smoking? Because during my about a week transition where I was still smoking, I was dual using. The one thing I remember. Shit! Now I've lost my train. Just derailed. Oh, eating just in general was one of the last like 3 cigarettes that were hard for me to quit. Were after meal cigarettes. There was something about I smoked after every meal for so many years that they were the hardest to quit. But once I did, I felt so much better after I would eat. Like there was something when you smoke after you eat for so long, your body becomes very accustomed to that. And you feel shitty until you have a cigarette.
Yep.
And then once you get past that, like a week later, I could start eating meals and not feeling like shit, like I needed a cigarette. There's something about like digestion became more natural again instead of like you didn't a cigarette to digest food. Like
you didn't have 20,000 extra poisons in your body that you didn't need.
Yeah. I wasn't having MAOIs help me digest.
Right.
But yeah, and just eating in general, like food just became so much better. And another thing I noticed was my salt intake went way down after I quit smoking. Because when you're a smoker and you have no taste buds, you crave those base like sweet. You want things extra sweet. You want things extra salty.
Yes.
You want extra of those base core taste buds that you have on your tongue. You want more of that because you can't taste anything else. And so like my sugar intake went down. Things became really, really too sweet. My salt intake went down because things became really too salty. I remember how much salt I used to put on food. And if I put that much salt on food now, I wouldn't eat it.
Oh, I know. It's horrifying to think about.
Yeah, like it's funny. Like those are some of those aspects that vaping also helped me better my life in, because I wasn't taking in quite as much sugar. I wasn't taking in as much salt,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's another cool thing, right? Is like vaping is a healthier alternative to smoking. As a result, you start to think of other ways that you can improve your lifestyle.
Yeah, once you get on one of those, once you get onto something where, especially with vaping, when you've reduced your harm and bettered your life that much, and with something you'll so quickly see health improvements from, and you will feel very quickly, where say if you're like somebody who's 300 pounds and you go to set out on a diet and gym and whatever, it's going to take months where you get to a point where you really start appreciating the changes that your body is making. With vaping, that comes in weeks. It's a very quick like realization as to how much better you're feeling. And that can be a lot of motivation to improve other parts of your life.
I need Twinkies in my life. Sorry to interject.
Twinkies.
There's just talk of Twinkies going on in chat, and all I can think about is just a cream-filled Twinkie.
Yeah. You ever seen Zombieland?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Goddamn snowballs.
So here's the thing, in case people don't know this, and I love sharing this fact with people about Twinkies. The original Twinkie was actually a banana cream filling. So,
I didn't know that.
So that was how Twinkie was originally made. It was a banana cream filling inside of a sponge cake. Kind of like this vape liquid by Coil Turd known as Boule Bolu. Kind of a banana cream with a sponge cake. So if you go get yourself some banana cream Twinkies, because they do still exist, I have a box in my cabinet right now, and you take a bite of a banana cream Twinkie and you vape a little Boule.
It's just
it's like crossing the streams, I'm telling you. Oh my god.
Get your Twinkie and Boule Bolu combo at
Yeah, I think there's so many facets to vaping that we don't necessarily talk about very often, and that's something I've been working on my podcast, and I just had a really great episode go up about drug recovery in vaping, and I had some really great interviews on there to anybody out there that that wants to give that a listen, that's Rise and Vape over on SoundCloud and on iTunes, the drug recovery and vaping episode. And that was one of the things too that came up was eating issues. One of the people that I interviewed had could not eat very much, and could not eat a lot of sweets. Was very limited in their sugar intake, like very limited, like 6 grams of sugar a day, limited. And so they found vaping was one of those extra things through their recovery and through everything else they were going through that they could turn to satisfy those needs as well. And like, there's a lot of people out there who have used vaping as almost like a diet program, if you will, to cut a lot of sweets out of their diet. And instead they replace that with, well, I can't have vanilla cupcakes for dessert, but I can vape vanilla cupcakes for dessert.
Yeah.
Exactly. And there are all these other little facets outside of just quitting smoking that vaping can play a role. And if you go and listen to that podcast, you'll hear from almost everybody that like the hobbyist side of vaping gave them a distraction. It gave them a hobby, because with drug recovery, hobbies are a big thing. Get a hobby, keep your mind busy, keep yourself distracted. And for a lot of people, vaping, Lando just listened to the Just Peachy interview. Peachy was phenomenal to have on the show. But yeah, that hobbyist, that distraction, that all the subcultures under the umbrella of vaping can be such a really useful tool for people in drug recovery, especially people in drug recovery who still smoke, because a lot of people who use drugs also smoke cigarettes. So not only can those people reduce harm in their life from cigarettes, but they can use this as a tool along with the rest of the tools in their drug recovery toolbox to help them along the way. And it's something I'm incredibly fascinated by, to talk about those other facets of vaping, that yes, this is tobacco harm reduction, and yes, this can and will help you stop smoking, but it can also do X, Y, and Z.
Sorry guys,
or help with X, Y, and Z. And I don't know, it's one of those things that those things really pique my interest. Those little kind of subcontext kind of things about vaping.
Yeah, just real quick, if I just want to throw this link here. Logan told me about this, and this is just an absolute awesome podcast, Narcotica. Since we're
if you want to learn about drugs
episode,
and harm reduction and the overdose crisis here in America,
I will openly admit I haven't listened to a single episode this week. I've been trying to listen to their episodes and catch up. I think I'm on either 8 or 10, but I haven't listened to any this week. But if you have any interest in that, since we were just talking about the episode that Logan did over on his podcast, I would highly suggest Narcotica.
Yeah, Narcotica is a great show.
Yeah, that's what I have to say about that.
But yeah, I'm really highly fascinated by all the little things that people use vaping for outside of just quitting smoking.
Right. It's an honorable thing, and it's something that doesn't get enough attention. Because it was M-Turk, I believe, was saying, for him, it was the whole mechanical aspect of doing drugs that he genuinely loved. It was
the ritual,
exactly, the cooking of the drugs, the putting it in the needle, all of that. He loved that. So becoming a builder gave his hands something that satisfied that same need. And it's crazy because, again, this kind of falls back to that honesty that I was talking about when it comes to your mental health and stuff. When you become honest about yourself and to yourself, with yourself, about these kind of things, you realize, okay, well, I genuinely like this unhealthy aspect of this unhealthy thing. How can I fulfill that need in a healthy manner? You think about car guys, those are some guys who, getting into an engine, tearing apart an engine fulfills a need. And that's why they become car guys. Artists have a need, a drive. And so they have to create something or they'll fucking blow up. It's one of those things. You have to fulfill the need or you'll explode. Does a shark stop swimming? Yeah.
And that's it's absolutely something I think that we need to talk more about. I mean, it's a rough time, and I understand that in the realm of vaping. But that that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be talking about all of this stuff, you know? Like,
Well-
I know that our focus is so centralized on, you know, voting and getting out and showing up to hearings and fighting the man. Like, I'm there with you. I'm fighting the man with you. But I don't want to stop talking about all these other facets and all these other parts of vaping. I don't want to put those things on hold because I'm somebody that I don't think vaping is going anywhere. So I'm not going to stop, you know?
See, I'm all for it. Let's go for the all-out ban. Just do it. Fucking do it, pussy. Ban it all. 110%. Make it the most fucking illegal thing. You know why? Because every time this goddamn country has waged a war on something, it's fucking failed. We've waged a war on drugs for how long, and we still got drug users.
God
So
damn
Over
it.
100 years.
Wage that war on vaping. It'll be the illest vape ever.
God damn it.
We've waged wars on.
I didn't make the
drugs
angry hippie rant bumper. I should have fucking done that.
I mean, we've been battling cannabis for 100 years. We've been incarcerating people over cannabis for 100 years.
Yep.
There are more people that use cannabis now than there ever was in America. So clearly that needle hasn't moved in favor of their direction.
So
we've been battling homelessness, quote unquote homelessness. We've been battling homelessness for the past almost 50 years. And then we currently have more people homeless than ever before.
Mm-hmm.
We've been
How about that war on terror
for the past 100 years.
Yeah.
You
More
know,
people right now are like these. That's the thing. The war on drugs, or the war on poverty, or the war on homelessness, or the war on whatever it is domestically. If we're waging a war on something other than a country, when we wage war in this country on things like drugs, we're not waging a war against drugs. We're waging a war against marginalized poor people.
Mm-hmm.
That's who we're waging war against. This is a war against poor people. And the war against vaping is just another facet to the war on drugs. Now that we're watching this country become more open to cannabis and cannabis legalization and recreational use, they need to replace that.
Yep.
This is the next war on drugs.
Well, so here's the thing, right? Is that vaping isn't playing by the rules the way that cannabis is. So cannabis is coming into the world, into a legal market with taxation. So the government's getting their piece of the pie. So the government's like, all right, we're going to make some money off it. This is cool. I'm down. Because all the fucking government cares about is filling the coffer, making sure that the paycheck's clear at the end of the week and all of that. So they did that. What was vaping? Vaping was a consumer-driven solution to a problem nobody seemed to be able to fix.
Nobody seemed to care to fix.
So that's the thing, right? Is that vaping found a way to give the smoker everything they were looking for in order to not actually smoke. And vaporizing is not a new technology.
No, not by any means.
Let's go way back. I mean, I remember as a little child, whenever I would get a cold in the winter, my mom had a big ass vaporizer she would put in my room, got the Vicks fucking drops in it or whatever, and it would spew menthol eucalyptus steam into my bedroom to help me break up the shit in my lungs. So vapor technology is not new. The stuff that we would put in that vaporizer was propylene glycol, vegetable glycerin, and these essential oils. It's right there on the goddamn ingredient list, and the FDA said it was fine for me to breathe for the use of medical purposes. So they can eat a fucking dick about vape juice.
Yeah, and propylene glycol in itself has been used in inhalers, any inhalants. It's been a carrier liquid in inhalers for years.
Mm-hmm.
There's a study, and we shared it. I shared this a while back on one of our earlier episodes here on In the Clouds. There's a study going back to 1947. And if I can find it, I'll share it after this. 1947, in which they had, it was an animal study done on rats and on monkeys. I'm sorry if you're an animal activist. This was 1947, in which they had these animals living for 18 months at a time in a saturated atmosphere of propylene glycol. 0 adverse lung reactions.
Mm-hmm.
Living in a cloud for 18 months at a time.
Straight PG.
No lung problems. And this was in monkeys. So it's a little bit more of a reliable animal test than in mice. Although I totally understand if you're not okay with testing on monkeys, I agree. But it's still a solid study that we can use to defend our position.
Well, I mean, we can go back to 2016, and I remember being at a cloud comp, and the fire marshal comes by to check on occupancy and make sure that occupancy levels are being maintained and no one's breaking any rules. And he gets to the door and he realizes, holy fuck, that's a lot of cloud, whatever is going on inside. This can't be okay to just walk in without a respirator. These people have to be in danger for their lives. So he pulls out his little air quality meter that they all carry, and he starts walking into the doorway, and it's 0.
Yeah.
He continues to walk into the building, and it stays at 0. And he gets into the middle of the room where it's the fucking thickest, and it's still at 0. Yeah. And he comments to the owners and everybody within earshot that it's crazy that every instinct in him says to get the fuck out of there, that it can't be safe to be in that room with this much smoke in the air. But this meter says that there's nothing dangerous in the air and that it's 100% safe to breathe.
Yeah.
I was there.
We have that. We have studies where people have done this in the middle of vape shops. Clouded vape shops, poor ventilation, no danger. This idea of secondhand vapor that people talk about is absurd.
Yeah.
Absurd.
The vape cloud I blow out is cleaner than the air around it. Yeah. Propylene glycol is a sterilizing agent. That's a known fact.
And there's another great study done about the aerolization of propylene glycol actually killing a number of airborne bacteria that we would breathe into our lungs, including like Strep coli, influenza, a number of other ones that they found when airborne and suspended or introduced to airborne propylene glycol, that they can't survive that and they essentially die.
Yep.
This is a number one reason why once you switch to vaping, you'll probably notice that you get a lot less colds.
Yep.
You get sick a lot less often.
Yep.
Propylene glycol was also they have a patent on propylene glycol to be used in hospital ventilation systems. Mm-hmm. I think it was very short-lived that they actually used it, and it wasn't because of any health concerns. It was simply because better technology moved in really quickly. So it didn't get utilized for very long. But yeah, FDA approved it. It was used very briefly for ventilation systems in hospitals.
Mm-hmm. Like it's all the evidence is there. Yeah. So it all comes back to the old Watergate line. You gotta follow the money, and when you follow the money, you realize that there's a lot of very, very powerful, rich, greedy assholes in this world, and they're not getting their piece of the pie.
No,
the vapor's hurting their cash flow, and so it is a lot easier to crush a small industry like vapor than let it crush your cash flow.
Yeah. And what's crazy is like people need to understand, we get kicked around a lot in this industry, in this community. We get kicked around a lot, but we've put up a hell of a fight. There's a lot of things that come along that the government just simply steps in and nixes and bans, and it's gone and it's done. And a lot of us don't even ever hear about it. They've been trying for a decade to get rid of us. Mm-hmm. They've been trying since 2009, the FDA. Mm-hmm. And we've beat them damn near every step of the way.
Yeah.
So even though it sucks right now, we've still done remarkable things fighting against huge, pharma, fighting against tobacco, fighting the FDA, fighting the CDC. These are incredible things that we've done. And we'll continue to do.
Because the FDA is commonly referred to as a public health organization and is seen as a organization whose interest is to make the best decisions for the public health. And the truth of the matter is that's really not their job. Their
like I need to
job
roll the
is-
bumper, the angry hippie rant bumper. Is that where we're about to go? I feel it coming on.
their
Yeah. Lay it out,
their
brother.
their job is strictly to protect specific industry and to regulate specific industry. And so for them, it's literally about making the most money through these different industries, through these different avenues. So, for example, when you talk about pharmaceuticals, there have been an ungodly number of pharmaceutical recalls for products that were pushed through the market and then found out after the fact to be extremely dangerous and extremely toxic. Now, the catch here is that the FDA knew that given the circumstances with the doctored or paid for studies that they were presented, that they could push a product through that would inevitably keep the cash moving through these different channels in order to keep those people who have their hands invested in those channels making money. Now, when you get into tobacco, similar situation. The whole Tobacco Control Act system is designed in order to continue to make money off of a product that is also demonized, so that this way we can continue to inflate the price at the same rate of loss of customers. This way, our profit margin always stays the same, even if our customer base declines. Now, when you have a product like Vapor come along and dramatically cut those numbers so that you can no longer raise the price of those tobacco products to match that, now we have an issue, because now we get into the MSA money, because now we can't keep the tobacco taxes flowing at the same rate, because we were declining it 2 or 3% per year.
Very controlled decline. That's what NRTs were for.
Right.
They knew the effectiveness of these products worked for less than 10% of people, and they wanted it that way because that's something they could project. They didn't want something as effective as vaping to ever come along. Mm-hmm. They wanted something that they could project and control that 2 to 3% decline year after year, while they could raise their taxes, like you're saying. And at the same time, they could look goody two-shoes by saying, look, we've provided you with all these quitting tools. Why can't you quit smoking?
Yeah.
Why can't you quit smoking?
Yep.
Why can't you quit this massive addiction that you have with some gum? What's wrong with you?
And all the while, you're being demonized as a filthy fucking animal because you have a nicotine habit that is completely fucking legal, that is marketed through this country all over the goddamn place. Because even though they can't make print advertisement and they can't do other things, walk into any fucking gas station and one of the biggest signs you see in the window are cigarette ads. There, prices of cigarettes, bing, bang, boom. It's everywhere in your face.
And I've noticed in the past few years, especially Marlboro, their ads under their cigarettes are always like, welcome to Flavor Town.
Yeah.
Come to where the flavor is. Flavor country. And it's like,
because adults like fucking flavors. Because Marlboro wasn't fucking stupid, and they knew that they could make a goddamn tobacco product that was a fucking menthol, hide just enough chocolate mint inside of it to still call it a fucking menthol. And then you turned around, bought it, and went, tastes like a York peppermint patty. I'm gonna buy 2. And now that's your fucking brand. They got you hook, line, and fucking sinker, and they knew it. And the FDA lets them get away with it all fucking day long.
Yeah. And there's flavors in cigarettes. There's flavoring in cigarettes. There's chocolate flavoring. There's nut flavoring. There's all sorts of flavorings in a cigarette. When you go buy a Marlboro, that's not just tobacco. As far as like the flavor of the tobacco, there are flavors added to that tobacco. But the FDA does not constitute it as characterizing flavors. So it's fine. They're at low enough amounts, and they don't bring about, like, you don't smoke a Marlboro and go, oh, that tastes like peach. But there's flavorings in that Marlboro. They just don't constitute them as characterizing flavors, so they can get away with that.
Never mind, we have mini cigars. Now, mini cigars, some people think of cigarellos. No, I'm talking about mini cigars. Legitimate cigarettes. They are 20 in a pack, just like a pack of cigarettes, but they are brown paper. And you know what? For the longest time, and I think even to this day on a federal level, they're exempt from flavor ban as it stood initially. So though you can't go buy those old school, and some of y'all might be too young to remember this, but Camel used to make fruit flavored fucking cigarettes because I smoked them when I was young.
Camel, what were the ones? Robust. there was like this mixed bear. There was like
They-
a
they
nuts
ca-
and
yeah,
berries.
they came in a fucking little tin, and you felt like such a fucking douche because you
Dude,
opened this goddamn
I was a
metal
camel
tin and-
smoker, and I remember flavored camels.
Yeah,
and
dude,
my
they were the
favorite fucking
shit.
thing.
They were the shit.
Yeah.
That was bad. But now you could have a goddamn grape cigar that looked just like a cigarette, smoked like a cigarette, but it was fucking grape. And I'm talking like candy goddamn grape, like the cheap fucking grape e-liquids that you can buy from like a Vape Wild or something, just plain old grape, plain old vanilla. Like that's still on the market. It's still there. Maybe not here in my state anymore because we're enacting a whole bunch of wild regulations to fuck everybody.
Oh, your governor is really confused why the rest of the country isn't following suit either, and I find it hilarious.
He's got his head so far up his ass that a proctologist couldn't even help him.
Yeah.
For those of you who don't know, a proctologist is a butt doctor, and
Butt doctor.
Butt doctor.
but we enacted one of the most obvious dick sucking acts of legislation for big tobacco ever, because we enacted a flavor ban, but it was immediately effective against vapor products, and we have till June of 2020 for traditional tobacco. So if you dip, you still got your apple dip till June. If you smoke your Newport, you got your menthol Newport until June. So there's still plenty of time for everybody to make their money on the tobacco flavors for now. Come June, they're all gone too. And 75% tax on all vapor product. So
yeah, you guys are looking at being basically the next New York. Over 50% of the cigarettes that come into New York State are smuggled in. There's no taxes in New York State that are paid on them.
I mean, it's been that way in Massachusetts for a long time anyway. For those who are familiar with this area, New Hampshire is a tax-free state right to the north of us.
Yeah.
And so, live free or die, motherfucker. You know how many people in my state travel over the border, buy cartons of cigarettes, massive, unnecessarily large bottles of booze, and then bring them right back over the border. So many that the state of Massachusetts the state of New Hampshire opened a state-owned liquor store right on the fucking border.
Mm-hmm. Why wouldn't they? Great business.
Which I just want to drop a link real quick. We're having a lot of good
New Hampshire's
talks
got some weird stuff going right now.
New Hampshire's. So I'm gonna drop a link for.
It's not the worst
for
though.
What's going on in New Hampshire right now. I'm just gonna read it quick. I know I'm kind of interjecting on the awesome conversation that's been going on. I'm gonna read it real quick. We can kind of shoot the shit about it. I know Sean's got a whole plethora of things going on down in Mass. I used to live in Mass and Massachusetts, massholes, whatever the fuck you want to call them. There's so much going on in Mass. So
I'm gonna let you read
massive
this,
two
and I'll be
shits,
right
my
back.
friend. Massive two shits.
Massive two shits, yeah. So after a bill to increase the purchase age from 18 to 21 stalled in the Senate, much of its language resurfaced in the state budget. So now what's going on is the age limit to purchase tobacco products is going to go to 19, and e-cigarettes are going to go to 21. So now I know that New Hampshire has a wholesale tax. I'm not exact on the percentage. I've been trying to watch everything, but there's just so much going on everywhere that I can't keep up. And I was kind of hoping for the longest time that New Hampshire was just, you know what I mean? The whole live free or die. I was really hoping New Hampshire was just going to, like, we're not fucking with any of you. We're live free or die. You can ride your motorcycle 120 on the highway without a helmet. Don't worry about it,
Well,
so
it's interesting to me, right? Because, I've got some really close friends up there in New Hampshire, Kinetic Labs. Okay. They make a lot of fantastic e-liquids, and not only that, but members of the New England Vapor Tech Association actually own that establishment, okay. And they've done a lot of work with the New Hampshire legislation to combat a lot of negative vape legislation, and they were able to, beat it back to a relatively reasonable tax rate. And I think T21 is a concession that's just going to happen federally eventually anyway. So I think we just have to accept that.
Yeah.
And to be totally honest, as our story, as many stories have gone, we're all living proof that if Tobacco 21 was a thing prior, we wouldn't have had the level of access that we had to these nicotine products.
See, I refute that only because, sorry, at 15 years old, we were partying.
I agree.
Regularly.
I agree.
And alcohol was still 21. And if we could get booze at 21 by the 30 pack,
yep, I agree.
Even if Tobacco 21 comes in, all it does is make your 18-year-old seniors a middleman. That's all it does.
Can we talk real quick just about how how Massachusetts knows? Sean, you might know exactly, but I'm pretty sure Massachusetts has been T21 since, is it 2017 or was it 2018?
Nope. It was this year.
Oh, it was this year.
So here's the thing, and this is where that gets really sticky, and this is why I'm actually a proponent of a federal, and I will rebut to Logan's rebuttal in a second after as you know, aside to this, but basically we had a lot of different towns throughout the state choose to do it.
Okay, that's right. That's my confusion.
So so like for example, the vape shop I was managing when I first started, we were located in the town of Hanover.
Okay.
Now Hanover was already a Tobacco 21 town.
Okay.
So I could not sell to anybody under the age of 21. That was the way their law was written. Bang, bang, boom.
Yeah. Done.
Now, we moved the shop to the town of Hanson, Massachusetts, which was just 20 minutes down the road.
Yeah.
Hanson was an 18 plus town still. They still went by the state law. So as a result, when the state law changed, the state law had a grandfather clause involved, saying that if you were born and were 18, but if you were 18 by this date, then you were still allowed to buy tobacco products. If you were born after that date, you had to wait till you were 21.
Okay.
So basically,
which is the way they should do it.
So basically, what happened was you would have people who weren't old enough from Hanover go over to Hanson and buy it, and then bring it back to their friends, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So this is where I get into my rebuttal of T21 being a relatively reasonable thing. When I started smoking, I was 12 years old. When I was 14 is when I began to have access to that senior who was able to buy me a pack of cigarettes every day. Now, if that senior was not able to go to a simple convenience store and buy me a pack of cigarettes every day on our lunch break and had to go extra out of his way to get to a liquor store, it would have been a lot more taxing. It would have been a lot more difficult, and it would have actually limited my ability to get cigarettes. Much like I was able to drink when I was underage, it wasn't something I could obtain alcohol every day, but I could manage to get it once or twice a week.
But see, that's what I'm talking about. Like, so yes, I agree. And it does create another blockade, but what you're going to see is the same thing that we did when we were 15, 16 years old buying alcohol. We would buy in surplus.
Fair enough.
You're not going to have a 15-year-old who's currently paying an 18-year-old to go buy them a 4-pack of Jewel Pods every 3 days. You're now going to have them turning to, whether it be that 18-year-old to cross a state line or get with their friends who are 21. And now you're going to be asking that person to buy you 4 packs of Jewel Pods. So that way you can go longer because you don't know exactly when you're going to have access to that again. So yeah, it does create a roadblock. But at the same time, T21 does two things. For everybody who is a smoker like you were at the age of 12, if you're in a state that doesn't have a grandfather clause, you now are unnecessarily having to wait 3 more years to have access to harm reduction tools. I don't think that's correct at all. And it just doesn't work.
I agree with you there.
These age limits, prohibition in any way, and it's not prohibition, but when we start limiting these things, it doesn't work. Right now, more teenagers are using cannabis products in completely illegal states than they are using nicotine products in states with 18-year-old restrictions. So you have kids that are able to access a completely illegal market, going out of their way to find drug dealers. You have more kids doing that than you have turning to 18-year-old seniors to go buy them a legal product.
So I would argue, for one, that a T21 situation will definitely limit access to the people who are curious. People like us who are already what they classify in the government as at-risk youth. We're going to do it because we want to be rebels.
And we're going to find a way.
Exactly. So I think that it still is going to cut that back. Now, as far as access for somebody who is smoking at a young age who wants access to this harm reduction technology, I don't think T21 is the issue. I think the issue is that vaping isn't tobacco and it shouldn't be classified as such. And that's where the big thing lies.
The only issue that I have with that is when Michigan went ahead and they said, look, we're going to classify vapor as its own product. 90% of this community applauded and they went, great. And I was one of the few people said, that just means that they're opening the fucking door to a brand new set of regulations to whatever they want. As long as it remains a tobacco product, it falls under specific already set in place guidelines, which if you wanted to change those is a whole nother thing of hoops and bounds that they have to go through in order to do that. When it comes to writing new regulation, it could be anything under the fucking sun that they can throw at a wall and stick, and then they can work on it from there. So when you separate it and you make it its own category, its own vapor category, you are leaving it up to politicians who, one, already have no idea what this technology is, to write an entirely new set of regulations around it. And that could be detrimentally bad.
Well, so now once again, though, we're talking about something on a federal level, at which point we're not talking about just any dumbass politician. We're talking about assembling a actual panel of people.
Federal levels, different.
You know, but that's what we're talking about. But you know what I mean? Like, if we're actually talking about a federal T21 nationwide, which like I said, I was a proponent of, and then being able to shift that, then you need that panel. And, you know, at that rate, we need people like Greg Connolly, and, you know, we need people like Tony Abood. We need those, you know, those minds to be on that panel so that they can help guide vapor technology legislation in the right direction. And that way there is a proper level of regulation, because nobody can deny vaping products should be regulated. There should definitely be regulation. We don't
argue advertising regulations.
We want safe vaping. We definitely want safe vaping. That is not even a question. The fact is, we want vaping, and we want the myriad of options of vaping, because we as vapors know that myriad of options is what makes vaping so special.
Yeah.
You know, if I had to just have one flavor for the rest of my life, vaping wouldn't be half as fun as being able to vape the 4 different flavors sitting in front of me right now. And if I want to vape something different, all I got to do is set up another atomizer.
Yeah. You know, I've said this on Twitter, I've said it before. The only way that I can morally get behind T21 in any capacity at all is if a grandfather clause is instated for 18-year-olds, current 18 to 20-year-olds. And 2, we make everything 12.
I agree with that. 100%.
Because this bullshit that you're a legal adult now, we can send you to war, we can put you in prison, we can incarcerate you for the rest of your life, but you can't go have a goddamn beer, smoke a cigarette yet, is fucking absurd.
I agree. I agree, because how are you going to make the fucking argument to me that they're still a child, their brain's developing till they're 24, they shouldn't touch this nicotine? But you can put a fucking gun in their hand, treat them like absolute fucking dog shit, and then send them out to die in a godforsaken fucking desert? Come the fuck on.
Put them in jail for the rest of their
lives.
Right.
Yeah. Or exactly.
That's the thing.
Because they have a fucking gram of plant matter?
When you send 18-year-olds to war, you're sending an individual to war to fight for the freedoms and the liberties that you don't even have yet.
Yes.
You're fighting for freedoms you don't even have. So
absolutely.
If you want to make tobacco 21 a thing, everything should be 21. Voting, war, drinking, gambling, all of it. This is when you're an adult. One set age, this is when you're an adult. Here are the adult things you can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm 100% about that. I've kind of said it myself, because that's one of those things that it just makes sense. Not only that, but who I was at 18 and who I was at 21, I can make some better decisions at 21 for sure.
Yeah,
So
you've had more time out in the world. You've probably had an apartment for a few years. You have a better understanding of your finances, of life, of filing your taxes, all these things that in those few years, you're going to get a lot more experience with.
Perspective, yeah.
Yep. And at that rate,
But they want 16-year-olds to vote.
Yeah.
Right, which is never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
God forbid it. If anybody let me vote at 16 years
they
old,
want to wear for their school outfit.
I'll tell you what, guys. Let's all start campaigning for 16-year-olds to vote, because if vapors are going to be behind it, then it'll never, ever fucking happen. They'll be like, oh, the vapors want it? Fuck those idiots. Hell no.
So well, that's because they know all the 16-year-olds out there with Juul pods to be all about us.
Oh, well, see here's the irony in all of that. I don't know a single 16-year-old that cares enough about politics to actually go vote if they had that right. Yeah. So, like, joke's on them.
Yeah.
I don't know enough 30-year-olds who have an interest in voting. Get out there, you pussies. Yeah. Grow some balls. Oh, my God, I can't walk into an old elementary school and take 5 minutes of my time to fill in some circles and put it in a fucking machine.
Yeah.
What the fuck are you, 6?
Vote.
Go vote. Dummy.
I fucking
who the fuck are you?
This. So as we get right around the hour and 40 mark here, this is a good one. This is good. I want to start.
I feel really bad though, because me and Sean have kind of dominated this one.
No, it's good. No, it's good.
I'm sorry I stole your show.
No, it's completely. No, it's perfect. I liked a lot
Welcome to In the Green Cloud.
In the Green Cloud.
Yeah. Oh, hold on. I'll give you a green cloud right here.
That's an idea there. That's an idea on the table.
There you go.
Here's the green cloud.
So yeah, no, a lot of good talks tonight. I like the mental health discussion.
You
I like
really
the backgrounds.
Can't put me and Sean in a chat though.
No, this is fucking
and
no, it's good.
Not expect.
No, I like to let
every
you
time
guys
me
go.
and Sean get together, it just
And you know, as Logan knows, and maybe some people in chat, I come from a different background, a different perspective. So that's why I really let you guys go off the hook. And if a time came where my perspective was, and I don't want to say needed, but could be involved, I was going to do so. But as we get to the hour, a little over an hour and 40 here, I want to kind of like open the chat to our little, ask us anything. AMA. You want to ask me something? You want to ask Logan something?
Is it technically an AUA?
AUA. Ask us anything. Yeah. AUA. The Angry Hippie. I got to get a bumper for the next time you're on the show. Angry Hippie rants. Got to get that. So we got a great show. If anybody wants to ask us any questions, comments, anything you want to say.
Let's see. We've been...
Just let us know.
Hour 40 minutes?
Hour and 40, yeah. So if anybody has...
Yes, we can take the next 15, 20 minutes at most.
Yeah. Questions,
my balls are very sweaty. I don't think anybody needs to know that, but it's very hot in here because I've been very amped up and
pumping out all that hot air.
You guys were getting me hot. I had to take
I had to open the window. I was like, damn, it's getting steamy up in this piece. Like,
yeah.
And I want to take a moment again to seriously thank everybody that came out. I really appreciate it. Sean, obviously, thank you so much for coming out to the show. Of course, absolutely. I appreciate it 1,000 times 10.
And listen, if you're listening, if you're watching, whatever you're doing, don't be a bitch. Smack the like button and subscribe to the channel. God damn it.
And go out and fucking scribble in the little circles and don't be a pussy.
And vote.
Yeah, and man the fuck up. Put on your big girl panties and go vote.
What is the website again for Sean's stuff?
All right,
Raging Vapor wants to know.
I'm gonna drop it in the chat real quick.
While we're waiting on questions, Sean, if you just want to shamelessly plug,
feel free.
Your stuff.
What do you got coming out this week? Plug all your stuff.
All right, so let's see here. Let me see if I can turn on what I did last night because I fucked with everybody by hitting them with that cheesy car dealer speed talk.
Oh, let's hear it.
It was a great way to promote a bunch of stuff. So let's see if I can do it again.
Oh, I brought the microphone up. Here we go. Wipe the sweat. Here we go. Oh, shit. Million miles a minute talk right here.
All right. So first things first, I'm going to give a big thank you to everybody that's out here in the chat because you all are fantastic. And if it weren't for you guys, we wouldn't be able to do these things that we're doing right here on the internet because this is a great community where I'll get to be a huge part of. I want to give a huge shout out to my friends over there at Unicorn Vapes because even though they're not an official sponsor, they hook me up all the goddamn time and they take care of me. They give me great deals. And even in a state that won't let me ship shit to Massachusetts. They still took care of me and sent me great things. So big shout out to Unicorn Vapes. Also got to give a big shout out to my sponsors over there at the Green Room Steel Valley Vapor, because, you know, a bunch of my liquid that I've been vaping tonight has been made by those fine individuals. If you want to get yourself some Steel Valley Vapor, you can also go to rescueliquids.com. They sell Bottled Violence. That's this fantastic vanilla custard that I've been vaping all night. So you definitely want to go check that out. You can go check out the Green Room over there on the Frame Shaken Vapor channel, because the Frame Shaken Vapor channel is a fantastic channel. Not only does he do reviews, but we do the Green Room there. And the Green Room is a fantastic show. Me, Overdrip, and Frames, we do some crazy stuff. And I also speed talk like this like a maniac, because that's what we do. We're out of our goddamn minds. On top of all of that, you can catch me over on Wednesdays on the Poon Sauce Master channel doing the What's in the News with Poon Sauce and the Angry Hippie. That's a place where I get to rant all the goddamn time, because I'm a crazy person and I like to, you know, go nuts. So yeah, after all said and done, thank you guys so much for having me on here, because this has been a fantastic event. I'm having so much fun, and I'm talking way too fast for most of these people to comprehend. Remember to not utter the best of your Remember to be cool, don't be a dick, and of course, keep fighting to be keeping it cloudy. And I'm seeing some questions finally. So Lando says, I don't wear panties, I wear thongs. Good. Pull the thong out of your ass and go vote, Lando.
I love it. I fucking
Saddle
love it.
Horse Blues asks, when is my next album dropping? Ooh, he went there. So check it out. I don't even know if Saddle Horse Blues knows this, but I actually have a second volume out, and I'll go ahead and drop that link down in the chat as well. I have it on my SeanTyphon.bandcamp.com.
Well, Shane, you know, if you're twisting his arm, he's going to have to drop it. You know what I mean? You got his arm bent sky high.
Yeah. So basically, for those who don't know about
my brain right now is still... So I'm still halfway through processing what you just said.
I'm at the e-liquid part. I don't know where you're at.
I'm still stuck on unicorn right now. I'm
man.
Behind.
Side effects may include being happy, being scared, being really confused. And if you experience anal leakage, please consult a doctor immediately.
Please switch your strain if you're experiencing anal leakage.
But yeah, as far as that music thing goes, back in March, went to NVE in Connecticut, you know, spent a lot of time with my stooges, you know, we spent a lot of time in these Discord chats because we're all over the country and all over the world. And so when we have an opportunity for all of us to get together, be it, you know, conventions or what have you, you know, you want to take advantage of that and spend as much time with these people, you know? And so spent a lot of time with those guys, and it really inspired me to start making more music again. Again, mental health. I've been a musician and an artist and a creative person for a very long time. I've done some really cool things in music. I've played with some really big hip hop artists, rocked some, you know, 30,000 plus people crowds and stuff. But I've also rocked, you know, 16 people crowds.
Those are my crowds.
You know, I ran the gambit. I got to live my dream. But I gave it up. And I walked away from it because I couldn't handle it anymore, and took a long time away from it. For those who know, the first thing I actually wrote and recorded again was the Vaping with the Omies theme song, which you can catch on the Vaping with the Omies channel Mondays at 8 p.m. But I wrote their theme song for them, and it kind of just kept the juices flowing. So after NVE, I was really inspired, and I made an album that was inspired by all of my friends. So like when you go and you listen to the first album, it's called We're All Stooges. The first couple tracks are reflecting on the last day of NVE and partying with all my friends, and then having to leave early Monday morning when everybody else was still asleep, so I could get back home so we could all get to work and stuff. And then after that, every track on the album is named after a member of the community and kind of embodies their personality and their vibe. And so I actually made a volume 2 that's also now available and out on my Bandcamp store. And it's not band.com because I'm an idiot. It's bandcamp.com. I just noticed that I typed it wrong. But that just continued the theme. And it's kind of cool because I went a little more international on that. So there's tracks to reflect some friends from Kuwait and from England. And, you know, it's been a special project. And the other really fun thing about it was that a lot of that started from me trying to create original music for different YouTubers that I'm friends with now to use, so that you guys weren't all using the same shit that YouTube offers. You know, how many times have you guys watched some random video of something stupid and you hear some music in the background, then you go and you watch a vape review and you hear that same music in the build montage, and you go and you watch some other video and you hear the music again, and it's like, damn, y'all been using the same track. Everybody's into this one, huh?
Yeah.
So I wanted to like give that level of exclusivity to my friends that like, here, I've got these tracks. And so even though I am a published and registered artist, I didn't register these songs. This way, my friends can use them on YouTube free of charge. No licensing required. Go ahead, buy my album on my site. You're good to go. You can go download it and use whatever you want. And as a matter of fact, I just watched some green stew is what I was about to say. Some vape stew this morning. I caught last night's episode and realized that Stan's using one of the tracks is the intro, and I went, nice.
That sounds like a stacked show. The Green Stooge.
Oh man, the green stew. We've done
Green
that.
Stooge, sorry,
The Green
Stooge.
Stooge. Yeah.
There is an episode where they had us on, and that was tough. I tell you, we did like an hour and 15-minute green room that night. Got ourselves kind of like refreshed real quick, and then a 2-hour vape stew.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was it was a marathon. My ass was sore.
The longest that I have
chair.
ever been on camera live for
Just right now.
was years ago when I live streamed video games. My community, I used to have a gaming community. Team Lunation Gaming is what we were called, because Lunation is like the cycles of the moon. Either way, we used to do charity events for Extra Life for Kids. So we would have donations, and then each person individually could choose organizations or hospitals or things like that where they would raise money for. So I used to raise money for St. Jude's Women and Children's Hospital in Buffalo, and that was a great time. But we used to do 12-hour streams. Yeah, they're tough. They're tough. Yeah. I remember like sometime last year, I was in one of Grimm's live streams that he does with his patrons. And he was talking about doing like a 24-hour stream. And I was like, bro, I don't think you understand like what that actually takes. Like I used to do 12-hour streams, and that's playing video games where you kind of always have a constant flow of content to work off of. Like game streaming is a whole different thing, because most of your content is literally just the game you're playing, and then your commentary, your reactions, things like that throughout it, your conversation. But to do that for 12 hours is one thing, but to do like a vaping stream, like I know that's what she said they recently did.
I was a part of that
charity thing. Yeah, a lot of people. I didn't watch clearly all of it. I'm not going to sit and watch a 12-hour stream, but there's a lot of people.
I was on it for like 4 hours, and it was a lot.
It's a lot, dude. It is a lot. And like I said, we used to do 12-hour streams for charity. It's a lot.
I just want to take over real quick. Jay said, for all three of you, what is your atomizer of all time? So whichever one of you want to take that off.
You can only pick one.
Of all time, one of all time.
Fuck. Ouch.
I'm gonna go with the Citadel.
I don't know. I've been using a lot of new stuff that I've been falling in love with.
I'm gonna go with the Citadel. The Citadel for me has the perfect balance of airflow and flavor.
I'm gonna go with something that I still use, and it may not be crazy old, but I gotta say the Turk V2. I know it's not crazy old, but I fucking love the Turk V2. I just love it.
So this is a tough one, okay? Because like my gut instinct, I'm looking at, but at the same time, there's a stock answer I always turn to. That stock answer still is true, because like, it's one of those like, if you need it, it's always going to be a reliable Addy. It's just always going to be a good vape, no matter what happens through time. But like realistically, I'm going for this guy. It's the Odium by Unicorn. I'm gonna give you guys that nice tight focus real quick so you can understand why. Look at how this deck is designed. Okay, it is a nice condensed dual coil. It is a super deep well.
That's a flavor chamber right there.
It's got recessed airflow, so that way even when the cap is on, if you dial this cap down and you bring it to just one vertical row, you're still spreading that air across the coils. The flavor is just phenomenal. The vape's great. It holds up to huge builds. So it's definitely like my go-to all-time setup right now is this atomizer, probably this mech and atomizer. But the Goon, the OG Goon is like it. That's that
I'm
one
rocking the
Addy.
1.5 right now.
Like that's that one Addy. Like I've bought 4 or 5 of them in my life. Like I'm looking at 3 of them sitting over here on my stand right now. That's that Addy that no matter what, through the end of time, if I'm fucked and I can only have one of my older atomizers, that's the one. Yeah. Because it accommodates everything I'm gonna ever need to vape. Yeah. The airflow is fine. I know how to build that thing perfectly, and it's just boom. It's a perfect vape for me. And
I was gonna say the Goon 1.5 was my second in line.
Yeah,
well, yeah. Goons in general are just they'll hold up to whatever you throw at them, dude.
Right. I mean, I'm a huge clamp fan. Anybody who's ever watched me kind of noticed that like a lot of my favorite atomizers are clamps. I love the Warrior. I love this thing, and this is not quite a clamp, but it's kind of got a clamp action going on.
It's got the blocks.
This is big blocks. This is one huge single grub screw that comes down and traps your lead like a clamp does. Right. So fucking easy to build, super fantastic. Same as a Goon, you're going to be able to line that airflow up right inside these these lines, and you just get crammed with flavor in your face. It's such an awesome.
What's your least favorite style of deck? Like my least favorite decks are always postless decks.
Me too.
Yeah. Like anything that's like a Pulse 24 style postless deck,
dude.
I just can't. I can't stand them. But
the D Pro.
Yeah. Like I
fucking smashed one. It pissed me off so bad. I went full J Hayes.
That's a postless deck. The Recurve Dual. I'm just not a big postless deck fan. Like I want to put my coils in sideways. This is how I want to put my coils in. I either want grub screws coming down on each lead, or I want a clamp that locks them down.
So with that though, I'm gonna say this: there are a handful of postless now that are starting to change my opinions a little bit because I feel like they're starting to really get a good grasp on them. The Axial, it's borderline. Like I hated it for the longest time, and now I finally figured out how to get it just like I like it, and I'm enjoying it. I guess you would technically consider the deck of the Blotto a postless deck, and the way that is set up, it's super easy to build.
What about when you consider postless? What about things like the Dead Rabbit or the Dead Goat or something where your coils sit not vertically, but they sit up?
I don't consider that a postless because those are definitely posts.
Because it's a post.
But those are like an elevated post.
Right. Exactly.
Or I'd call it almost like an elevated deck.
Yeah,
if you will.
It's exactly what it is. Yeah,
I don't like those whatsoever. None of them that I've ever vaped I've enjoyed, but like an RDA for vaping, that's a pretty solid postless.
Yeah.
And little tip for anybody who might have ordered one and is waiting on it. I took 3mm ID aliens from my man British Eyes Only. Shout out to him. This is one of the
bling. Check the bling.
Yeah, check that out.
Crazy coils that he does. It's around a 10mm ID. This is a true to scale alien. So it's 18 gauge cores with 26 gauge outer wrap.
Nice.
It's insane. But I put the belly of the coil against the 510 of an RDA for vaping, and lined my trimmers up and just snipped them. Perfect.
Interesting.
So there you go. If you don't have a coily tool or something, that actually worked really well. Like I said, I just flipped it upside down, belly against my 510, clip my leads, and I had the perfect length for my leads in that deck. And it vapes great. I mean, if you watched the show last night, I even told Turd my one complaint. It is such a condensed chamber that like when you're running a 0.1 something like that, 0.12. Not only is it hot, you dry that cotton in like 3 or 4 hits.
Yeah.
So like for me, it's a great RSA because like I don't want to be Velcroed to my bottle, just constantly feeding liquid. So to be able to squonk this sucker is awesome. And I didn't even know until we had him on that it actually squonks 3 holes.
Oh, so interesting.
It comes up through the elevated deck, the postless decks area in the center, like a traditional squonk, but it also has channels that come out to where the wicks are sitting. Oh, so it's hitting the wicks at the bottom of them, plus coming up and hitting the bellies of your coils.
So you're just getting full saturation.
Yeah, it's like awesome. One good.
And that the airflow sits high on that, right?
The airflow is slanted. So
it's kind of like dead goat airflow, right?
Yeah, it's like a snake bite kind of thing. Yeah. It's slanted, but what happens is not only is it coming at a slant, but each one is angled inward until it opens into like a big ellipse.
Yeah, so they kind of come in like.
So this way, about halfway through that airflow chamber, whether you're running a single hole, a 2-hole, whatever, you're still getting even distribution of air across the coil.
Yeah.
Honestly, as far as Addies go, it's pretty perfect.
Yeah.
You know, like it vapes.
I've looked at it quite a bit, and I can tell you, because I plan on getting one, and immediately when I get one, I'm gonna throw a big fat Saddle Horse Blues like 3.5 or 4 millimeter coil right in the middle of that thing, and I'm gonna rock it that way. So looking at that deck, I've looked at it a number of times, and I just want to put one fat coil right.
Oh hell yeah! And an added promo for both Turd, the RDA, and of course the Green Room. If you go back and watch that episode of the Green Room from last night, get to the end of the episode, there's a code.
There you go.
Word.
We have a Green Room code that you guys can go get if you watch the episode and figure out where Turd gives you that information. If I remember correctly, it was 25% off your order, it's a one-time use. So
go pick up your RDA for vaping.
You want an RDA for vaping?
Go check out the Green Room.
So
there's a code, or this is an even cooler one. So this one's entertaining too. If you go to lucidrda.com, our old boy Stan, Tenacious TX Vapes, and his website, he got Turd to sign a bunch of RDA for vaping packages.
Cool.
So if you order one from Stan, you might be able to get one that's signed.
That's pretty dope.
So if you're itching for, one to vape and one that has Beecher's signature on it, now you know what to do.
There you go. That's pretty dope.
So once again, I want to thank everybody in the chat. We're going to wrap this up. We're over the 2-hour mark.
Yeah, what a long show this was.
Hell yeah, boys.
This was a
thank
great
you, Sean.
show. Yeah, thank you, Sean. Thanks to everybody in chat. Like I said in the beginning, if you're listening, live on the replay and listening to SoundCloud, thank you. We appreciate the crap out of you. And guess we'll do the thing. Should we do the thing?
Are we doing the thing?
We're gonna do the thing.
All right, thing. Sean, you got to do the thing.
You got to do the thing.
Oh, the stereotypical thing that everybody does.
We do the thing. Yeah, everybody does. Yeah, we're gonna do the thing.
We're gonna do.
Hold on. I can't do the thing with this thing. I need to do the thing with another thing because that's not an effective thing to do the thing with. So I'm gonna do the thing.
You have to make sure that you have the most thing producing thing.
Whatever.
Exactly. This is the thing that does the most thing for the thing.
Whatever thing you got to do your thing with.
Let me just double check. See, my thing's not ready to be thinged.
Is your thing dry?
My thing's not dry, but it's not quite wet enough.
It's dry. Okay. It's dry over there.
You got to make sure that your thing's
dry,
like you got to moisten the thing before you can do.
No, well, that was the problem. It was moist. I needed it dripping wet.
Oh, you needed.
I needed to
I see.
Fully saturate that.
Oh my God.
Nice and
cue the Barry Manilow.
Let's get it on.
All right, and with that, let's do the thing. Thank you, everybody who came out. To everybody who just showed up, sorry you missed it. Catch the replay. It's been a great show. We've been on for about 2 hours now.
We got Matt to rub his nipples on camera. It was delicious.
He did, but we're not going to tell you where that timestamp is.
You've got to watch the whole thing.
Watch the whole thing.
You will see it. It's there.
A big shout out to Sean Typhon,
fucking
angry hippie himself. Everybody make sure that you go tune into the Green Room. That's on Friday nights at 7:30, 8?
8. He's an 8 o'clock guy.
Yeah, Matt stole the half-hour shit from us, man. What's in the news with Poon Sauce and the Angry Hippie at 8:30 Eastern, 7:30 Central? And this kid's like, oh, I guess I could do a 7:30. Yerk.
It was all
That was
me,
Poon
Sean.
Sauce
It was all
McNasty's
me.
thing. How dare you?
It was all me, Sean. You guys can blame me.
Wow.
No, but thank you. Big shout out to you, Sean. Thanks for coming on. It's always a pleasure to sit and pick your brain about
Hey
things.
man, it's always a pleasure. Honestly, it was kind of really an honor for you to reach out to me, Matt, and be like, hey man, we really want you on, blah blah blah. Because like I said, I'm just a normal dude, man. Like I go to work, I work my 50 some odd hours a week. I put my pants on backwards, just like the rest. Oh wait, no, that was crisscross in the 90s. Never mind.
Yeah.
But
some of
I
us
still
do.
put my legs on left and right, because
Most of the time.
Sometimes you gotta
Some
be like,
mornings you
Lieutenant
forget.
Dan, you ain't got no legs.
You ain't got no
know?
legs.
So, but yeah, I'm just a normal dude, and if you guys ever have any questions, comments, concerns, and you think I have an answer that could help you, don't hesitate. You can reach me on Instagram. It's probably one of the faster ways to get a hold of me, because I'm not very good with that whole Facebook stuff these days. Or of
You
course,
and me
Twitter.
both, brother.
You want to send me a DM on Twitter. That's a great way to do it too. Otherwise, you can find me in the chat on the Green Room on Fridays, or What's in the News with Poon Sauce, man. Because
There you go. 2 shows, double feature.
Mm.
Two Sean a week. Can you handle it?
Is your thing
I
wet
can't
now?
handle it.
Is your thing dripping
Oh,
wet?
I'm
dripping wet.
It's
All right, everybody.
juicy.
That's gonna do it for us. Much love to everybody out there. Keep it cloudy. Keep it real. Stay easy.